Reloaded. Hey, while I am doing this, let me switch to the talking scene. Did I just give you anything? Probably. Let me remind you that you can check me out at twitch.tv/Laura Reloaded as well as twitter.com/Laura Reloaded. I need to get more people over at Twitter. I get jealous of those who have more Twitter followers than me. So it's probably very, very healthy that I'm trying to get as many as I can. What is going on? As stated, we got Neoteric Bedlam in the house. We also got Bearing Cab, and yes, I did take my time getting my coffee and everything because coffee is life, as you may or may not know. So we're going to go ahead and be talking about the newest Star Trek Picard. It has gone full Discovery in some ways. It is not a family-friendly episode, to say the least. And I'm going to go ahead and say spoilers out here, though you should already know this if you've been watching my series. But for those who haven't, definitely this is going to be spoiler territory. Here's a hint. If you like a character, you like their moral quandary and where they were, how they grew as a person, their story's arc, and they're not a part of TNG, or they're not the main cast of TNG, then don't get used to them continuing to have morals or life. I was also right in some instances, and I'm looking forward to that. So let's get into it. Again, this is going to be spoilers and everything, so if you're not used to spoilers, then I guess this is going to be a very bad time for you. All right. Thank you. My cat thinks that it's pretty nice as well. What am I doing? I'm hitting this button. Then I'm hitting this button. Nope. I'm hitting this button. And then I'm hitting this button. And then I'm hitting this button. There we go. I'm also going to have to give a quote-unquote trigger warning. If you don't like Vor, then this is not for you. All right. Let's just get right into it. So it starts off on a random planet. What's interesting here, and they'll discuss it beforehand, but I'll go ahead and do it. I do like the way they handled the Lawless Territory. So when the Federation, or when Starfleet decided to pull out and not help the Romulans, and the Romulans, for whatever reason, couldn't help themselves, the Romulan neutral zone completely collapsed, and it became a lawless territory. So you got Federation, lawless territory, Romulan Star Empire, or whatever, the Romulan Free State, the remnants of the Romulans. And I actually don't have an issue with that. That makes a lot of sense to me. I think that it is put together very well, constructed. Now, interestingly, this makes the 24th century, 25th century Starfleet go back to that of the 23rd century, in a way. They're returning more to the original series roots with that, in my opinion, because the 23rd century always lived next to some form of lawlessness, some form of negative area, whereas the 24th century Federation, 24th century Federation for sure, Picard's time, Sisko's time, didn't really deal with that all that much. I mean, you did have the Maquis, but I don't think that it was on the level that we had here. Maybe it was, and maybe they just didn't show it well. Maybe the Maquis, the demilitarized zone, was very lawless, but that doesn't really feel like that they would. It doesn't feel like they put up with that. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, so now we get to the happy fun time zone. Basically, you're about to see Gore. A literal metric S-ton of Gore is what you're about to see. And spoilers, it's actually Icheb. Interestingly, Icheb apparently joined Starfleet, became a part of Starfleet, left Starfleet to help out in the lawlessness zone. He then gets captured and mined for parts. And they are excessively gory about this. They don't really hide anything. I literally put my hand over it because I'm not a big Gore fan, personally. This is full Discovery. This has very little reason to exist. There's only one other episode in TNG, I think, where they really went this way. And even that wasn't liked. That one was actually bashed pretty heavily, too. You can do stuff like this, and you can have it have impact, and not have to show it. Now, I'm about to, before I get that, OJ Simpson, man, 7 being rogue means she dumped Chakotay. We're going to talk about that later. Thanks so much for the support. Let me say this. This isn't a personal opinion, and this is I guess, as a, they tell me I'm supposed to call myself a filmmaker, but as someone who makes content, as a quote-unquote filmmaker, or as someone who critiques work, this is lazy, in my opinion. Some people like it. Some people think it's okay. It's exceptionally lazy. And in fact, I'll show you what they did beforehand. At the end, they actually do a way of show not tell that's a lot better than this. You can have Icheb be tortured, have his eyeball literally sucked out of its socket, not show it, and it have more impact than what they're trying to do here. It's movie shorthand, and for the series that it's in, it's lazy. If they were trying to do something more akin to, I don't even know if we'd see it in The Expanse, but a horror film or something like that where it's appropriate, then yeah, I think you could do it. But they're trying to short circuit everything, call this person on a slab Ichab, and then show you all of these gory things. It's simply just not effective writing for Star Trek, in my opinion. If I was going to rewrite it, I probably would take out some other parts or expand it, because I don't know why this is 44 minutes when you're paying for it and you don't have to have commercials. But let's say they had to keep it 44 minutes. I would then remove a couple of other pieces to it, other parts that aren't as important. Probably with Star Trek's Kaylee, I take out some of her personal moments and put those in elsewhere. Agnes, for those who don't know who Star Trek Kaylee is. And I would expand Icheb's role at the beginning. I would have actual interactions. The flashbacks would have Icheb meeting whatever villain woman of the week, and have 7 of 9 reintroduce you to Icheb, give a little bit of his backstory, and then have him be taken in, and then you can do sounds, and you can have him screaming, and you can have dialogue. There are ways to do this without going through the shorthand and doing it, again, just in a very crass way, a way that isn't necessary. This also guarantees that I'm not going to let my kids watch this series until I've seen it to its completion. If you want family friendly, if you want something you can take your kids to, stick with Star Wars. Do not go Star Trek. It is not for kids. The new Star Trek isn't. Nostalgia Trek, yes, but the new one, no, not at all. Don't do that. We have Mikey Likey. It says, I didn't care for this episode. It seemed more like filler or fluff just to waste some time. It was definitely, I don't know that it's a filler, but it's a bridge episode for sure. And by the way, thank you so much, guys. If you don't know, the only way I keep the lights on, especially at the beginning of the year when ads are nothing, is by through contributions, through people like you, viewers like you, as well as Patreon, patreon.com/Lore Reloaded, or just becoming a member. Hit the member button below. So that's really all I have to add on this. Icheb gets tortured. 7 of 9 stops and, is hugging him. Is like, oh God, why not? And then he just asks for death. At first, I'm kind of confused because we're dealing with Starfleet, the 25th century. They have all kinds of great medical technologies, but it explains it later where, they're not near Starfleet. Starfleet abandoned them. And so there's really no medical expertise that's going to save him. So that's where that is right now. I'm going to give it a second, see what you guys have to say, and then we'll just keep moving. But I didn't like the first one. I think it really set it back. It put it in a bad light, in my opinion. But I'm open to your guys' conversation. Of course, DevMag52 says, I remember a movie a long time ago where criminals got this man tied to 4 cars with the whole point of tearing him to pieces. They showed nothing save for criminals saying, make a wish. Yeah, you can actually... You can do something like this. You just don't have to show the gore. It's just unnecessary in this kind of format, in my opinion. Of course, we got the Continuum making a really good opinion, or a really good point. We got 83 people watching, only 16 likes. Don't be scared of the likes. They're more scared of you than you are of them. Star Trek has become different lately. Star Trek Online is the only good Star Trek. I would agree that Star Trek has become different lately, definitively. Kind of seems like the people running Star Trek now don't really understand what Star Trek is, and it hasn't worked at all. How the heck do they keep doing this crap? I think this is the first major misstep. I'll be honest with you. Star Trek Picard has done decently well up until this point. But I think that this was a massive misstep. Just got here. What did I miss so far? Well, I'm first off, you missed first off, by the way, the continuum, I'm okay with what Yosef said. First off, you missed the spoiler notes. Secondly, they tortured Icheb. It has been rough on YT this month. I'll help a bit. Thank you, Mr. Miles. Mr. Miles, Chief Engineer, has his own channel. He actually does a lot of the editing for Anti-Trekker, too. He's one of the best editors on YouTube, in my opinion. I don't know if he does commissions, but if you guys need someone to do editing for you, I would highly suggest Mr. Miles, Chief Engineer. He's one of the best. I liked the episode, but that gore was too much and was completely unnecessary. I agree. All right, so let's keep it moving then, people. Let's just keep this love train on chewing. Oh, let me do this first. Boop. Oh, now I have to actually get past it without seeing the gore. It is so bad. It's so bad. All right. We're then introduced to our villains of the week, which is always going to be fantastic. You got Evil Woman to the left, and then Lizard Man to the right. Sentient Lizard, which is supposed to mean something, I guess. He has 100 different olfactory smells or whatever, so he knows who you had sex with, what you ate, and if you're telling the truth or not, because that's exactly how pheromones work. And they found Maddox, and so Maddox comes to her because I guess he's stupid. He needs protection. And she's like, okay, well, I'll protect you. I didn't notice that. That's a nice little bra right there. Look at that. Look at, it's always good when you can see the bra of someone, especially in Trek. I like that. Anyway, you see, and man, they put that at the point of thirds right there. You're instantly drawn. So the way they frame this, you are instantly drawn to the female, her entire one, because it goes down through the rule of thirds. You're naturally going to be drawn to it. I didn't even realize that they did that trick till I freeze framed it right there. So anyway, she looks at Maddox and betrays him, obviously, because she's the villain of the week, and he goes down knocked out. And that is Maddox right there. I wonder if I can get a good picture of Maddox real quick. Hold on. Let me see. Yeah, there it is. I mean, I guess that's the actor of Maddox. I don't remember. He looks so different, so aged. I don't hate what they've done with the character, him being on the run and everything. I think that's really intriguing. But they have changed it up somewhat. Also, I guess it's unfair because they did a lot of that stuff in TNG. So I guess it's on par. I guess this is really being like TNG when it comes to using female assets to push property. So yeah, they have a conversation, and at the end of the day, she drugs him, and she's going to sell him to the Tal Shiar. Because as you do, right? That's exactly what she's going to do. So yeah, not really a lot to that scene, I'll be honest with you. It's more him just trying to hide. Then we have the title phrase. And now we have the lovely 7 of 9 with Picard. Now, for those who have been a part of the channel, or have watched the channel, or watched my critiques of Picard, one of the things I have not liked, one of the things I have an issue with is the change in 7. But before we get to that, Vosh Ryan helping out the channel. Thank you so much. I think they're trying to kill off the progressive, hopeful theme of Star Trek. It's so dystopian, supposed to be hopeful, pinnacle of humanity. I would agree with that. I think they are trying to destroy it. We have entered the era of Dark Trek. All right, so let's thank you so much for the support again, guys. I can't do it without your support. Thank you so much. Let's get back into this. I didn't like what they did with Seven of Nine, her complete and utter change. I've talked about the different levels of character a lot. If you watch this, as I go through film school, I continue to learn more and more, and it gives me a better insight on what I'm looking at. And I've told you before, generally characters have 5 levels to them. Technically 6, but it's because it gets to 5. So you have 0 to 5, with level 2 and 3 being actual relatable, generally where your protagonists are. Level 2 and 3 is when they're worried about a small group of people or a significant other, or they're worried about their in-group themselves. So a larger group than what level 2 would. 0, 1, 4, and 5 are people who have moved in a way that is not relatable. Generally, your villains stay in those places, and it's something that generally we as humans disdain. I'm not going to go all the way into it. I can do a breakdown one day, but if you've watched my other stuff, I've done breakdowns of it in other stuff. Ultimately, when you look at Seven of Nine, she started out as arguably a level 1, where it's all about her and she's so singular she can't connect, or a level 4 or level 5 because she's Borg and a part of the collective. Depending on how you want to look at the Borg, that would be where she is. Completely and utterly non-caring for any other life that isn't a part of what the collective tells her. And so when she's saved by Janeway, when she's saved by Voyager, she moves down from that to moves down from a level 5 to a level 3 throughout the series. And so she begins to care about Voyager. It's her family. It's where she moves from. And interestingly, it's done very, very well. And you can still see that she always had the previous levels in her. She even stated it. She said she kept the Borg, the oneness, the logic, the good aspects of the Borg collective, if you can say that, with her. And so that somewhat was how she interacted. If you watch Voyager, you see she's very regimented. And that's because she was a part of the Borg collective, even though she moved down from a level 5 to a level 3. In this, she no longer has that aspect of her been impactful. It's completely gone, as if it was never there. And that's something that I really have a disdain for, because it's jarring. Because it's not the character you know. And it can be disrespectful of her overall arc. And hold on, move. Stop. It can be overall disrespectful of her arc. It can be something that really takes you out of it. They try to give somewhat of a backstory. And so what basically occurred is, once the Romulan Star Empire fell, the lawlessness happened. And so Seven of Nine goes and tries to help those in need. She tries to stop all of the pain that's occurring within the lawless land. And so that changes her, because apparently there is now this huge market for Borg technology, which makes sense. In universe, it makes sense, but it's not very Star Trek. It's excessively dystopian that it happens to the degree that we see. And because of that, she stops being regimented and becomes more of a person, more laid back. She now improvises more. She doesn't have that regimented nature. Samantha Todaro, thank you so much. I'll be honest, I don't buy it. I simply don't see the character changing to that degree. Now, it may be because one of the things in storytelling is, if you're going to move a character from one level to another, it has to make sense and you have to show it, which is why Seven of Nine going from the Borg Collective level 5 to caring about Voyager level 3 makes sense. We watch her slowly move down that totem pole. But you don't see it here. They just come in, they tell you this is the backstory, this is why she is, and it's so jarring, and it just does not fit for me. Now, if it fits for you, that's fine. But for me, I think the change with the character is not believable. It's fourth wall impacting for me. I can't see Seven of Nine doing this. Now, if they wrote a good story for it, maybe I could be convinced, but for now, no. So, that's my opinion on Seven of Nine. Let it never be said that I was not expanding on that. But at the end of the day, she's a ranger. The rangers, again, try to stop the lawlessness. They help out where they can. She saw they were in need, so she came to help out. Picard, of course, using his holodeck, which makes no sense in universe for Picard to do that, but it makes a lot of sense if you're on a budget and you want to use the set over and over and over again. So they're talking about what needs to be done. He says he's going to Stardust City. She says she's going to help. She can be dropped off at Stardust City. And, yeah, so there's that. That is a thing that happened. And by the way, if you guys note something that I missed, let me know. I'll be more than happy to go over it. But for the most part, a lot of these scenes are just talking. They take 10 to 15 minutes to say what can be done in like 3 minutes. But if it's done well, then I don't really necessarily see a problem with it, but still. We get some more information on Rafi. They build her character out a little bit. She's looking up someone. We don't know who this is. At the end of the day, it's her son. I didn't stop to really look at where this was, though I don't know why her son would be in this dystopian, because he goes to Stardust City, or the place where Stardust is, so I'm not sure why he's there unless he's trying to get away from her. They could, have it in a Federation territory. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, I guess. Oh, let me say something that keeps coming up too. So we have a back and forth. They're talking about what's going on. They talk about how Picard's a Borg, how Seven of Nine's a Borg, yada, yada, yada. I do actually like that. I think that is good storytelling because it is significant that Picard was Locutus, and it is significant that Seven of Nine was the Borg that came from Voyager. They would be legends. They would be heroes. There would be mythos there. And so them talking about it is good world building. It's also consistent with how characters would act if they were meeting like Picard or Seven of Nine. I like that. Now, there has been some issues with the warp drive. A lot of people have said they don't like the warp effects and the transporter effects. Personally, I don't have any issues with it. I don't care. It goes back to the Star Trek Discovery piece. When it comes to aesthetics, or when it comes to them changing things up, I get why it's somewhat of a frustration, but they're not using the same technologies they were. I have more of a problem with the Star Trek Discovery transporters. Well, really, I don't like the Picard transporters either. But you can still use the new technologies and make it look somewhat like what we saw in previous Trek. Doctor Who does it. The reason why in Doctor Who the ship, what the hell is it? It's a phone box or whatever it is, police box. The reason why it flies around everywhere is because they had it on a piece of string and they were throwing it down that twine while they were recording it. And so it was just jostling everywhere. New technologies mean they don't have to do that if they don't want to. But Doctor Who kept that and just used the new CGI, the new technology, to make it fly around everywhere. They kept it somewhat consistent. So there is an argument that you can at least... Star Wars does this really well. Battlestar Galactica Reimagined does this really well, especially when it comes to the consoles and stuff. You can still make it look like it was and update it to a degree. I think that is possible. Now, at the end of the day, I don't mind the warp drive. I don't think it's horrific. I think this is what they wanted it to look like, but they didn't have the ability to. My only issues with the transporter effect is that everybody uses the same transporter effect. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Why would the Romulans use the same transporter technology as the Federation? Why would the Federation use the same transporter technology as an independent organization? The transporters themselves would probably look somewhat different or have somewhat of a different feel or taste to them, which is why you saw them being different, specifically in previous eras. There's no reason to make them the same unless you're trying to cut cost. And even then, it doesn't take that much to change the hue to a green or change the hue to a blue, because that's effectively what they did in previous iterations. So that's my opinion on it. Yeah, I forgot the TARDIS. Her son ran to Stardust to be with his pregnant Romulan wife and away from mom. Romulan? I thought she was Vulcan. She was Romulan? Okay, well that makes sense then. Also, the son was at the pregnancy clinic, so considering the mom is Vulcan or Romulan, there may have been consequences. I don't know. Maybe. If she's Romulan, then I guess that kind of makes sense. Saw the stream pop up, but can't watch now. See you later. Talk to you later, Schlinksa. Anyway, so that's that piece. Not a lot more to add to it when it comes to that. Who the hell's calling? I don't want to talk to you. Don't want to talk to you. I'm busy with how many of my best friends? I'm busy with 116 of my best friends. Stop calling me. Don't want to talk, please. My house. All right, so then we get... oh, by the way, I called it. Not exactly 100%, but I called it. By the way, can I say this? Can I say this? All right. So you had Red Letter Media, and they talk about how the Romulans made the Borg is one of their predictions. I don't think it's going to go that way, but they said that. Screen Rant then took that and ran with it, and Red Letter Media got upset. Can I get upset with Red Letter Media? I said it first, before them definitively, that this chick was evil. That something's going to happen with this chick. Star Trek's Kaylee, I said she was a Romulan spy. I may have been wrong on that one. But by God, evil. She's an evil, bad person of badness. I called it out. RLM then goes online and says it. Can I get mad at them like RLM gets mad at Screen Rant? Does that happen? You know, I'm gonna do a Twitter on that. I'm gonna Twitter that. I'm gonna Twitter about it. All right. So we find out that this dude is her lover, and they do the big nasty, as it's said in the Greek. And so apparently he also likes replicating everything except chocolate, and then he makes it himself because he doesn't like the way chocolate tastes, I guess. I don't think it tastes different. I don't think it tastes different. I think there's more to it than that. But anyway. Evil, I didn't get that from her. Yeah, there's no evil in this chick. There's no evil in this chick. No, there's no evil in this. Yeah, not at all. No. Oh, but Mr. Miles and Morgan, or not Morgan, I'm sorry, Mr. Miles and Gopher, I need you guys to be careful, because when you're bending your back to try to justify why Star Trek's Kaylee isn't evil, just don't break it, okay? A broken back is not a good thing. And so as you're bending and jumping through hoops and doing everything you can in order to justify why your waifu isn't evil, just don't hurt yourself. That's all I care about, okay? That's just all I care about. I care about you. You know, interestingly, though, as I describe these scenes, I can do it in a couple of seconds because there's not a ton to it. All of the different scenes, I can see why people don't like this, because all of the scenes are effectively interconnected, and all they are is just long, dramatic character development, but nothing more. It's just consistent character development. But they're not moving the development anywhere. We're 50% done with season 1, and we're still not going anywhere with this development. We're still building up. In theory, in writing, this should be the big part. This should be where, arguably, it depends on how much you want to go with the different theories. But you should at least be moving closer, like really close, to saving the day, the call to action. Like, we had the call to action and then nothing happened. That's one of the things that I can understand why people have an issue with this. I really do subscribe to the hero's journey theory as the best way of storytelling. It's not the only way, but I think it's the best. That's my opinion. A lot of people disagree with that, and a lot of people will call that bunk, and that's fine. But personally, I think that it works out. And so you had Picard in the first episode. He basically gets his call to action, arguably the second episode. He gets his call to action, and then he goes to do it, and there's not really a lot. In theory, because in the hero's journey, technically you're supposed to fight minor villains first. So in theory, this episode does that, but it just doesn't feel that way, So anyway, they get to Stardust City, and they get this fun little scene. So this is kind of like a breather, a comedic value piece, but this is one of the things I would have removed. I get it. It's cute, but I would have removed this and used this time to build up Icheb. I would have made the Icheb part a lot more intense. You can actually see this in the promotional materials. This is just them interacting with spam, I guess, which is intriguing. Pretty intriguing. Let me bypass this. Now, another thing I do like, though, is that we see Rafi, Star Trek's Zoey, using her Starfleet Intelligence background. It's very interesting and subtle to see how Starfleet worked in the background and how they manipulated the galaxy. So they know they want Maddox. They found something for Maddox. So they invite themselves, they hack in and invite themselves to a party so that they can go and save him. It's an interesting look, an examination of how Starfleet used to work and how Starfleet Intelligence was really on their game too. We never really got to see a lot of Starfleet Intelligence, so to see how they basically were Big Brother, not only to just them, it really speaks to the dystopianness too. They could hack in and listen to everyone's communications. They can hack in and invite themselves to parties. They know instantly where everything is. It's very, very Big Brother, and it does explain a lot in Nostalgia Trek in how opinion appeared to really never shift for the most part. So they find Maddox, they invite themselves. Evil Chick of the Week is trying to sell him to the Tal Shiar. They just need a middleman. And so that's where a lot of the hijinks are about to come into, right? Yeah. And I'm going to go back to you guys in just a second. But for the most part, they discuss how this is going to be difficult, how they really, there's not a lot that they can do to help out Maddox. They can't save him because apparently they're in a secure location, and they can't barter because they don't actually have ties to the Romulan Tal Shiar, right? Though interestingly, they're like, there's nothing we can do. And then when they get down there, they got down there by saying, hey, we can talk with the Tal Shiar. So why couldn't they just lie, grab him, and go? But anyway, for some reason they can't, even though that's part of what they do. For some reason they don't. And so now you have 7 of 9 saying, well, let's give them something they want more than Maddox, which is a Borg that they can get all kinds of technology from. Now, apparently, if you're a child and you're assimilated, you're worth more because the technology is older and it grows more expansively. That's kind of interesting and makes a lot of sense. And on a slave trade type deal, I could not slave trade, I guess not human organs either. In a trade of this matter, I guess that would make a lot of sense. So, because she'd have better technology, right? And it would have grown with the individual. So I guess it would be not only older, but more expansive, I think. It made sense to me. It really, really did. All right. So we have them going to Stardust City, and before we get into, well, we'll get this piece and then I'll get you guys' opinion. So then we get the, they dress up. The reason they have to dress up is because people who do this apparently dress up and are very, I don't know. They just like to be seen. They hide in plain sight or some stupid hippie hug and stuff like that. And the only thing here is that I didn't like. Believe it or not, it's just whatever. It's neutral to negative that they're dressing up. We could have seen this in TNG. I don't think... I think this is more low-tier comedy, I'll be honest with you, but that's a personal opinion. That's subjective, which is why I'm not going to really put a lot with it. The one thing that I found just frustrating was this. Hold on. Wait for it. So, Star Trek's Kaylee gets really worried about using a transporter. She's not sure that she can do it. She doesn't know what's going on. There's the subtext of it. It's all a comedic joke. But if I'm going into a place where they literally take out eyeballs and they literally remove your organs with no anesthetization, no drugs, I really need the person who's going to save me. The person who, if she fails, we all die. I really need her to be completely sure about how this works. I need her to be beyond competent. I don't need jokes about this. This is not a joking matter. We all die if she fails. I really need her on point. Either that or please activate one of those one of those holograms that can do the job for her. Please God. Please God. I don't need that. You remove that. Because if I'm one of them and she's like, I don't know if I can do it. I transport. Yeah, it should be easy. I think I can. No, we done. We're sending this blonde chick down there to do it because her eyeballs are less important than mine. Okay? We're sending her and I'll be the one to use the transporter because I'm competent. Because I like people living. I choose life. And this chick right here, this chick is not the good choice for life. Now, we'll get a little bit more into it in just a second. I guess I'll go to see what you guys are saying and get your wondrous opinions. 130 people watching, only 50 likes. Why are you guys scared of that like button? Why are you guys scared of that like? Anesthesia. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Please state the nature of the medical. Why are we trading eyeballs? Yeah, that's exactly. It wasn't hiding in plain sight. It was more like the same reason a pimp wants to stand out. They want people to know what they do. Okay, that's fine. That makes it complete. That still makes it completely idiocy. I did not like it. I don't like it, but it's not like game ending, I think. A big issue I have so far, and I don't know if many had noticed, but their facial expressions. Most of the time they look like they are constipated. I don't know. I thought the facial expressions were okay. I thought they were fine. Maybe, I don't know. That's just my opinion. Evil Chick of the Week was just way too Bond villain cliche for me to take her at all seriously. She even had her own alien lizard version of Odd Job from the movie Goldfinger. This does have a Goldfinger feel to it, doesn't it? I can actually see that. Yeah. In this instance, I am wholly pro-life. This chick has no idea how to act. She is acting like she's never seen a computer console like ever. No, there's no way. There's no way. No, we are not letting her stay. Not only is she not allowed to stay for this mission, she's not allowed to touch consoles at all. She has a doctorate in cybernetics, but doesn't know how to use a transporter. I'm not a lot into her skills. I feel like her skill set is very, very poor, and I feel like we can do better. So let's leave Zoey, even if it's going to piss her off. I'd rather pissed off Zoey, Star Trek Zoey, stay on there and not be able to see her kid, because I think I got a better chance of living if I kept her on the ship than going down. I call her Tilly 0.5, not Tilly 2.0, because new Tilly is just as annoying. I liked Tilly. I kept thinking of DS9 episode when Sisko played a Bond villain. Yes, but he played a Bond villain in a holodeck. They at least made that make some sense. This is in real life. The universe is real life. Fine, I'll tap it again, then tap the dislike. Hey, I'm okay with that, Cullen. I'm okay with that. But if there's a Goldfinger fill, where are the bikini-clad Romulans? I think they had some people who were dressed like that. I think their whole makeup is made from being able to use computers almost from birth. Yeah, I mean, I get it. It was for comedic value, but it was dumb, and they shouldn't do it. They're bad, and they should feel bad. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's get it started and Why, good morning to you too, Ishigo. That was a huge WTF moment for me. This woman was studying how to create data type androids, but she couldn't figure out how to use a transporter. Exactly. Exactly. What was up with the guy in the holographic angel wings? I actually liked that. That, again, was the more hiding in plain sight. Not hiding, whatever. Showing who you were, being a fucking peacock, however the hell we want to do it. But, still. All right. We have Pimp Daddy Manspreader right here. He's looking for the chick. And they talk about the how, you know, he needs to not find Lizard Man because Lizard Man is going to be able to see when he lies and whatnot. And then, surprise, surprise, they send Lizard Man. Because why the hell wouldn't they send Lizard Man? Why wouldn't you expect that to be part one? It's like, all right, so I'm a villain. And I have this guy who can detect lies. He is a walking lie detector. You know what I'm going to do when people come to talk to me and want to do trades? I'm not going to send him to make sure that they're not lying before I show up. I'm just going to show up myself. That's what Picard and crew thought. Picard and crew thought they're not going to use the living lie detector. She's going to come on her own because she's fucking stupid. She, like us, are stupid. And we know we're stupid because we're letting Star Trek's Kaylee handle a piece of machinery that is the only way to save our lives, and she's got no idea what she's doing. We're a bunch of really stupid people, and since we're really stupid, obviously the villain is going to be extremely stupid. In fact, we have watched The Next Generation, and we know most villains are stupid. So if most villains have been historically stupid, then obviously she is stupid, and she is not going to come out herself, and it's this big, massive surprise when she's not stupid. How could that ever be? I mean, we are idiots of a magnificent degree. We're letting Kaylee Mc not knowing how to use transporter back there be in charge of all of our lives. So why the hell is this happening? But luckily, even though we are humongously stupid, we're not as stupid as we look, because apparently one way to get around lie detector is just to be totally baked. Just to be drugged out of your fucking mind. That's all you need to do. So if you want to get past olfactory McOldfactoringson right here, all you got to do is go in high off your fucking gourd. Of course, as we know, there's no way to detect if someone has drugs in their system. There are no things like no type of technologies like quarters that are or internal sensors or anything like that. Starfleet is known for not being able to detect anything with personal technology that fits in your hand. So luckily, we're going to be able to get past living lie detector because sensors aren't a thing. Star Trek has never used them. So, exactly what I just discussed occurs. He shows up, living lie detector. Manspreader is like, holy hell, living lie detector's here. But luckily, Star Trek's Zoey, being the fucking drug fiend that she is, implanted something into him so that, I don't know if he hits it or if he gets too scared, but he gets drugged to the nines. I mean, it really just hits him like a ton of bricks. Luckily, it doesn't last that long, but man, is he having a good time. So when you think heroes, when you think Picard, think drugging their own people to lie. That's what you need to think. because it's just good family television. So anyway, he lies to her. He talks him into it. And then my computer messes up, I guess. There it is. Then Picard shows up with 7 of 9. Kaylee wasn't bad in Firefly. She just looks like Firefly. So, you have Picard show up, and he is cringe-worthy level of acting. Which, by the way, good point. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the villains are idiots. Maybe they are just like so stupid. Because you could see through that acting a fucking mile away. It's just, oh man, oh he's really not good. He's just not a good actor at all. All right. That's some bad hat. Yeah, he's wearing a beret because he's French. He's French. All right. Let's wait for it. Wait for it. Sorry, guys. I'm waiting for a good scene with maybe both of them. Man, they love over the shoulder shot, reverse shot. Man, it's not Star Trek unless it's shot, reverse shot. Because screw having the actors in the same like scene where you can see both of their faces. Because that's just stupid. Only stupid people have the actors both in a single scene when you're not looking over their shoulder. Because why would you do that? That's just what the stupid people do. All right. Yeah, we're not going to be able to see it because it's fucking stupid is what it is. Sean P31, thanks for subscribing. So now we have Rafi, or Star Trek Zoey, going to see her son and his wife or mistress or, I don't know, side piece, who I thought she was Vulcan. Maybe she's actually Romulan. If she's Romulan, it makes sense for them being in a lawless territory on the fringe. Maybe, again, if you're going back to the racism and you're trying to say that Starfleet or the Federation don't like Romulans, then I guess I can somewhat see that. I don't hate this side story specifically. I don't like a lot of what they do with Dodge and all of that good stuff. Just because it seems useless to me. But this builds up Rafi. It makes her more of a person. It shows that she was so dedicated to Starfleet and finding out what happened on Mars. Finding out the Romulan incursion, that she just had forsaken her family. Now, at first, I kind of got a little frustrated with that because that doesn't seem like the Starfleet way. Starfleet officer not showing attention to her family, to their family, really, and just goes on their little side quests and just doesn't worry about it, is antithetical to TNG, but it's not antithetical to Deep Space Nine. Arguably, I think that Sisko forsaked his family in a few instances. And so, I think that somewhat makes a little bit of sense, I guess. Not that makes sense. I guess it's not inconsistent, maybe, with how it went, especially of this magnitude. Hey, Laura, why is the United Federation acting like they're villains? Even Romulan is in danger? I don't understand the question. I'm sorry. She was Romulan, darn it. Know your head ridges. I don't know if she's Romulan or not. At all. It's Zelda? I don't think it's Zelda. I think you're wrong on that. So yeah, basically she comes back. She says she's clean. She doesn't do drugs anymore. She wants to be with her son. Why can't we be a family? Why won't you love me? He says, well, you didn't love me as a kid and you forsaked me. And she was like, that's fair. She then meets his wife, and his wife's having a kid, and she can't be a part of the live. And I honestly feel for her. I'm a dad, so I guess that kind of meets me there. I can feel the pain, and I think it can be a good character driven piece. I do believe that. It adds something to Zoey, and so I don't know. I think it does there. All right, and so then we have the reveal. Of course, we have the Bond villain. And 7 of 9. 7 of 9 comes face to face with the killer of Ichab. Yay! So, this standoff is somewhat intriguing. We figure out that 7 of 9 actually is doing a double cross. She didn't intend to go along with the plan at all. She, in fact, is going to be murdering the chick in front of her and wanting vengeance. And of course, they're going to get what they want, and she's going to get what she wants, and, everything's going to be great. It's just going to be fine, even though she completely lied to Picard and co. And yeah, so there's that. I'm trying to think if there's really a lot to add here. I don't feel like there necessarily is. I really don't. Basically, they do get Maddox back. She is on the verge of killing the chick. Picard talks her out of it. And then, Picard's like... Picard really isn't the one to talk her out of it, honestly. It's Manspreader. Captain Manspreader says, hey, this is great. I'm all for killing people in vengeance, because I used to be a Starfleet officer, so that's what we're all about, obviously. And so if you want to do that, that's fine. And, I got a ship. I can run. But Picard is going to get the living hell killed out of him. And the others probably too, because they're not in the world we're in. That convinces her not to do it. So here's the thing. Everything in this scene, from a writing standpoint, from a technical standpoint, from a production standpoint, in universe... Well, I'm not going to say in universe. It all makes sense. It's cliche as hell. We've seen this 1,000 times, but sure. And, the dialogue is put together really well, and the acting is done superbly, so it's a very believable scene. It's just not a very good Star Trek scene, in my opinion. At least not Nostalgia Trek. This is not... The 7 of 9 we see here, as I discussed before, isn't earned. They haven't earned the right to show us a 7 of 9 who will murder someone just to murder them. We've seen her get to that point and take a step back. And so for her, they tell us why she's that way. And what they tell us makes sense. The story is cohesive, but it's not believable. By the way, Zimiko helping out the channel. Cisco left Jake behind on a Dominion-occupied DS9. That's a little bit different, but he did leave Jake a couple of times past that. Great channel. 7 is scary. 7 can be scary. I agree. But this 7 of 9, as I stated, is not the person we've seen before. Is not worthy of the 7 of 9 that we saw in Voyager. At least not as presented. They didn't earn it here. 7 of 9 chickened out. Hashtag 7 chickened out. Yeah, she did. Well, Chris, I'm glad you can be here. I knew that you were going to be here, so I decided to do a show for you. So yeah, basically everything we just said. Somehow Star Trek's Kaylee actually saves them, which again, I honest to God thought she was going to choke. Especially, so they have a scene which is good with the EMH. The fact that the EMH can be turned off, first off, that joke is getting really old, but secondly, there really should be safeguards, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But But so Kaylee saves them, which is fantastic, and she chickens out, or she's talked out of it. She goes back and she says, you're right, blah blah blah. I'm about to leave. I have someone on the way. Picard knows she's lying and lets her go for some reason. He also gives her 2 rifles because, first off, are those his rifles to give? So she's like, hey, can I have 2 rifles? Rangers can always use 2 rifles. Are those his rifles to give to her? I don't know about all that. But beyond that, she takes them and she's like, yeah, I'm going to have a ship pick me up. It's already on the way. And he knows she's lying, and he just lets her go. Because it's okay to kill if you're 7 of 9, but not, I guess, Star Trek's Legolas. Let's talk about something that I think is probably this is the pinnacle of the difference between Nostalgia Trek and current JJ verse Trek or Discovery Trek. This is the epitome of people who liked Trek for what it was, who liked Trek being hopeful, being uplifting with humanity at its peak, and people who like Disco Trek. This is a destruction. Hold on. Huge spoilers here. Huge spoilers, but I mean, I've been spoiling it throughout, but this one's probably the biggest, in my opinion. Hold on. Wait for it. Wait for it. Seven kills this chick. This wasn't done in self-defense. This wasn't done to really protect anybody. She didn't care how evil this person was. This was done as vengeance. This was done because she could. This is a destruction of the character of 7 of 9. This is the noble, good person who was a Borg and enslaved from childhood, enslaved thousands to hundreds of thousands of people, ensured entire species would go extinct, who was saved, who relearned humanity, who saved countless lives, who helped basically defeat a large portion of the Borg, if not the Borg completely, for a time. She's gone. Her legacy is gone. This is a destruction of a Voyager character. And that's why I say, I hope you really don't get attached to characters that weren't main cast TNG. I don't think they're going to do this to Troy or Riker. I think they may kill them off, but I don't think they're going to do this to them. But it's okay for them to do this to 7 of 9, because 7 of 9, she's not TNG, she's Voyager. Hell, we don't even mention Deep Space Nine. I don't know how I feel about this. Here's the thing, too. This is unearned. Completely. It's not... The story makes sense. It's cohesive. It's coherent. I understand why she went from one to the other, because they told me, but they didn't show me. I didn't do that journey with her. She could be as likely... Oh, wow. Why would I go there? I was going to say she could be scissoring Janeway or having sex with Janeway. I don't even know where in my mind. But I'm just saying, I thought that was like preposterous. That's crazy. But she could be as likely in a relationship with Janeway. Like just making out with the chick. And that make as much sense as this. Because that wasn't their relationship. It's sad to me. But I honestly don't know how I feel about it. And people who just take this with a grain of salt, who's just like, oh, this is the best thing ever. It was so controversial, but I mean, it just went in so many great ways. I don't know. I don't know. 7 is the law. She was guilty. No tears. So, I'll give it a second, see what you guys think. But, yeah. It's not a destruction. This woman was purposefully... Where is it? Where'd you go? Da, 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 da. It's not a destruction. This woman was purposefully targeting and mutilating former Borg drones. 7 of 9 was defending them while avenging her adoptive son. Gopher 69. Can I get an F in chat for Gopher 697's back? It has broken. It has completely broken. He will never walk again. She was doing it because she was pissed and she hated and she wanted him to die. That's it. That's it. She says it directly. She says it directly. She was murdering someone because she didn't like them. She didn't care about justice. It was vengeance. She didn't give 2 fucks. She was defending no one. Not one goddamn person. Maybe it makes sense. Maybe the character could get here, but don't lie to me. By the way, I'm not mad at you, Gopher 697. The greatest mistake you're making, Lore, is comparing old Trek with Dark Trek, because clearly these are different eras that have nothing to do with each other. They're connected in continuity, but beyond that, I'd agree. They're different storytelling styles, for sure. That one was accurate. To be fair, so far Picard, as shown, has been about destroying the legacy of the TNG. I don't know if I don't think it's destroyed the TNG era yet. 7 doesn't deserve to be a ranger. Valen does not approve. I'd agree with that. 7's role model for 4 years was Captain Insaneway, who regularly wiped out billions of lives to further her own agenda. Let's not pretend her murdering people wasn't inevitable. Yeah, I mean, if you subscribe, in theory, I think that actually makes sense when you think about it. Because Janeway did kill a lot of folks. She killed a lot of people. And so I guess that somewhat makes sense. That's funny. And actually can make some sense. I agree. Because Janeway was just was written badly in some time. I actually like this episode the most so far, except the opening and the ending. I had complaints, but overall better than the last 4. Okay. You know, yeah, and again, when we're talking about this, I am not, I'm not, when I talk about this, I'm obviously not mad at whoever says it. We're talking about the ideas, and I don't like the ideas. This, again, is just a destruction of what the character was supposed to be. I really think so. Janeway inserted her consciousness into 7. I love you guys. This was a destruction of who she was. The 7 of 9 of Voyager was gone. Is gone. And I don't know how I feel about it, because I liked 7 of 9. I think she was one of the strongest characters in Voyager. But she wasn't like my absolute favorite, oh my god, character, you know? Yeah, if you don't know what scissoring is, don't go to Pornhub.com and type scissors. It's not what you think. Yeah, rock solid. This entire thing has been spoilers. In fact, I had an image of spoilers up just a minute ago. Alex Personal, that's the entire problem. Alex Personal brings up the entire problem, which I've been saying from the start. Yes, it was vengeance, no doubt. But it's 20 years off development and frustration as a ranger. We didn't see that. We're just told that. You gave us 7 seasons of Voyager. Voyager, how long did Voyager run? Voyager had 7 seasons. It started in January of 1995, went to 2001. So that's what? 6 years. 7 seasons, 6 years, 172 episodes. It was in 1995. It's 2020 minus 1995. I can't do math. You guys can fuck off. 25 years. So for 25 years, 23 years, whenever she entered into the season 2 or 3, whatever. 23 to 25 years, we've had this character. This character has been built up and her legacy installed in all of us. And you give us a paragraph that she changed. A paragraph that she changed. You know what Ira Stephen Bear, the genius behind Deep Space Nine, you want to know how he wanted it to end? That it was all on a stage. It was made by Benny Hill, and that all of Deep Space Nine was just a movie. He was stopped by Berman. You can have a character that or in a series that has great stuff, and if you don't execute their ending, the last part of their story arc, we don't know if she may have more to the story, but at least in this instance, to this point, this part of their story arc correctly, you will destroy the character, and it needs to be done than more than a fucking paragraph. 7 of 9, the character deserved more than that. Is it Jerry Taylor? Not Jerry Taylor. Jerry Ryan deserved better than that. Disco era fans deserved better than that. And nostalgia era fans sure as hell deserved better than that. And I said this before. Yeah, based on everything they said, it makes sense. But it breaks the fourth wall to all hell and back. And Joseph Petrick, first off, you guys are welcome to disagree with me. That's a part of this channel. It's a conversation. But I don't understand how I'm being unclear. Love you, but I disagree. If you meet whomever after 20 years, the people change. Sure, people change after 20 years. Definitely. And it's actually been longer than 20 years, I think. But regardless, it's not good storytelling. That's not how you write good stories. Storytelling requires you to go from A to B to C. You don't just say, 20 years passed, the person is completely different, let's fucking kill people. That's bad storytelling. It's bad. That's what I'm saying. I have said from the beginning she could get here. But to put her here without giving us that story? Really? Really, you're okay with that? You know what? Then you know what, Joseph? I guess if we're okay with that, in the next episode, if it says 20 years have passed, and the next thing you see is Picard spinning like a dreidel on top of Manspreader as he's yelling out, Romulans are the best, you're going to be okay with it, right? You're going to be okay with Picard spinning like a dreidel, naked as the day he was born, and then on Manspreader, who is yelling, God bless the Romulans. Because it's been 20 years, Joseph. Characters change, Joseph. Characters change. It's okay. Dreidel Picard. That's going to be his name. Dreidel Picard. Because people change, Joseph. Ishigo, we don't have time to show all of 7 of 9's development. Then don't do it. If you can't tell a good story, don't do it. Go for 697. I want to see him spinning like a dreidel. Go for 697, LOL. I think you're just being impatient. I bet the story will be expanded on in the future, assuming everything has been canceled. Maybe. That's fair. It's fair to say that they may try to expand it more. And then that becomes stylistic and subjective if they do. And I'm not sure I like that kind, honestly. Muzzle top, it's a boy. Y'all are horrible. Oh, why do y'all get me passionate? Why? Why do you get me passionate like this? Yosef did bring color. All right, let's keep going. I don't see how 7 of 9 added anything to the story. My fear is that with 7 of 9 it was done for in your face, the shock factor. Just like when they started it with when they started the episode showing Gore, because that's just shock. And again, I think that's subjectively that is bad storytelling in my opinion. That's subjective. People will disagree with it, and that's fine. Obviously, the writers do disagree with it. They did it. It's just a way of trying to get in your face. And so I wonder if they did this with 7 of 9 just to get in your face. Like, oh, look, it's 7 of 9. Oh, look, she's killing people. She's crazy. It's in your face. It's taking character. I don't know. Hodge Simpson, I would agree. I think binged, it would be a lot better. I do. One reason why I won't see Worf is because Michael wouldn't want his character to be murdered. I could see that. All right. Let's give me a second. Hey guys, this may get cut short. Apparently it's snowing. I just got a message, and if that happens, it may be cut short because I got to go pick up my kids. All right, sorry about that. Here's the other thing. I'll say this because some people are even commenting about this. If you like this writing, if you think that this was a great episode, that's actually okay. If you enjoy it, I'm happy for you. That's actually okay. Again, I don't actually hate this episode. It's the weakest for me, but I don't hate the episode. And I don't know how I feel about 7 of 9. But we can just disagree on that. Like, Jesse loved it. I don't understand it, but Jesse, absolutely loved it. All right, here we go. If you want to see evil, just watch Lore and his 3 minions try to reenact a story. I don't know what... I sincerely am not sure what you're referring to. I'm sure I did something like that, but... Planet Obesitron? You trying to say something, Sebastian? If you want to say something to my face, you can say it to my face. Because no one's ever made a fat joke at my expense. That'd be a totally new experience for me. All right. And then you have Maddox. They got Maddox. They saved him. He's talking about how something's happened in the Federation. There's a conspiracy both in the Federation and with the Romulans, and that they use some kind of agent that dissolves everything. We've actually seen that already. You can't expect good stories for important characters that are only there to prop up a broken show. I don't think it's a broken show, but I do believe that they did use 7 of 9 as a prop. So far. She may actually come back and may be more to it. I think that was a good call to say that maybe they'll expand it more later. Because they've been doing that with the Mars attack. So, subjectively, I don't like that type of storytelling, but I think that was a good counter. So, I forget who said that, but good counter. Hey, it's Jordan Peters. Yeah, he's at rehab right now. Oh, that's awful. Jordan Peterson when he went into rehab. That's horrible. You people are bad people. Oh, my God. Oh, I'm a bad person for knowing that or making that joke. Oh. It's called heavy-handed. Yeah, it is heavy-handed. I'd agree with that. They invited Guinan back, and she accepted, but I don't know if she's actually going to be there. All right. He's here. He talks about how there's an issue both in the Federation and Romulan Star Empire, which obviously is a problem. The shots here, I would say, are cliche, but good. I like the back and forth. You see that Kaylee is ultimately evil. By the way, called it! Alright, she's not a Romulan agent, but it was... And you guys were saying it was bad. It was bad writing. It may have been. You might not have been wrong, but it wasn't. She was there by design. She put all of that together. She is specifically there to stop Picard. I called it. Red Letter Media got pissed off. Red Letter Media got so pissed off at the fact that Screen Rant took their idea and ran with it. Can I get pissed off that Red Letter Media took my idea and put it on a more successful video? Because I was the first one to call it. I was the first one to say it. Can I get upset? Welcome to the channel, Neil Yu. Can I be the one to be upset? Can that happen? Can we let that go? I mean... called it, is what I'm saying. Absolutely, positively called it. And this one, it's cliche. We've seen it 1,000 times, but it's produced really well. Also, something you guys may not notice, again, you guys seem to like it when I do the production, when I break up the production value, kind of, to a degree. A lot of people seem to be positive about it. So one of the things, too, is the way the scene's shot. First off, very Aliens feel. Look in the top right-hand corner. Additionally, if you see, it's slanted to a degree. That's actually done on purpose. It's slanted because something is off. You may not know it, but your brain does, that something here is wrong, not just by the way Kaylee is looking, but by the tilt. Generally, when something is tilted or the world is off its axis to a large or small degree, it throws us off. It makes us think that something is wrong. We can tell something bad is going to happen. And so the production value, the way they actually play with the camera, the faces on Kaylee, the way Kaylee looks, the way they're talking, you can tell something's going on. It's a utilization of the ticking time bomb trope, but it's done really well. And so I liked this back and forth. I thought this was like excellent. There is a piece that makes no sense coming up in just a second. Hold on. So you got Captain Manspreader talking about it's going to be double going into Romulan Star Empire. I love how rich Picard apparently is. For someone who didn't like money, he is loaded, apparently. A lot of people keep making fun, or not making fun, but getting upset. Welcome, Alan. Getting upset about the use of the economy. Here's the thing. And it goes back, it's kind of like the 7 of 9 thing. Poverty in an economy is not the original, is not TNG DS9 Starfleet. It's not something that we see, it's something that's fought against. It now exists. It makes sense that it could exist, that it could come back. It makes sense that after the Dominion War, you start moving into this dystopia. You start having credits again. You start having money. You could also argue that because he's not a part of Starfleet and he's independent, that he wants money too. And so I understand it, but it didn't really justify or get us there. It basically what they did with 7 of 9, they did with the economy, in my opinion. And here's where it makes me a hypocrite. I was actually okay with the economy because I could see it logically happening. The Dominion War ends, so much pain and suffering. I always argued that Starfleet would start going downhill after that. That it would become more militarized, that it would become 23rd century, that it would become more akin to what we would see. It would become more Babylon 5. And so that made sense to me. So when they jumped to it, I didn't get as upset about the economy. I didn't get upset that poverty now existed. It's not Starfleet. It's not the way it was supposed to be. And they immediately jumped there. They didn't walk us down the road. And so when people get upset about that, and English Gent, if you're watching this, I think you made some good points there that, it's not what we grew up with as children. And so it's disrespectful in that way. I think that's a legitimate argument. Because I think this is exactly what would happen. Here's the thing, guys. If you don't like that there's poverty, or you don't like that there's an economy, if I was to write it, because a lot of people say, I wish you were helping them out, I wish you were writing. That is a path that I would go down. Post-Dominion War, there would be poverty. Post-Dominion War, there would be need. There would be want. Now, maybe, just maybe they move past that. Maybe that's a part of the arc, the becoming the humans they were meant to be again. But in my iteration, if I was the one to do it, then I would write that in there. Because I think that's the next logical step after the Dominion War. The Seven of Nine, I don't see any logical progression. I don't think you get from Voyager to where she was. I think that's a bridge too far. But a semi-dystopia with an economy? Yeah. I think that's more legitimate. We don't know how the captain's paid. Maybe it's in Chateau Picard. It could be. He said the Romulans are being treated like immigrants. It had nothing to do... Oh, okay. So yeah. I kind of wanted to admit that to you guys because I think that it's important. The problem with critics today, and even most YouTube channels, is that they can't admit where there are some blind spots. And I think that this could legitimately be a blind spot. I really honestly do. I think that this could be me just being okay with it because it's how I think things would go. It literally makes no sense if you have space magic that solves poverty and unlimited energy. Yeah, but my thing in Tieho, Teho, is that how you say it? My thing is I think that after the Dominion War, you wouldn't have unlimited energy. I think that's where they get their issues. Janeway Satus Chakotay. That's why 7 is mad. That would be why 7 is mad. All right. So anyway, there is that. It does kind of have a Starship Trooper feel. I can say that. Anyway, moving on. One second. Sorry, wait for it, guys. Wait for it. All right, before we get into this, I'm going to need some Fs in the chat for those who are about to bend over. There's going to be a lot of people that try to bend over with their back and break them. Some Picard apologists, some Kaylee apologists that are going to say that I'm wrong. So, if you could, let's get some Fs in the chat for them. Because either that or maybe their brains are dead. So if we could do that. And then after we get some Fs in the chat, can I just say I fucking called it? We have an evil Kaylee. Evil Kaylee. She straight up murders Maddox. You know why she murders Maddox? Because she was told a secret that would break everyone's mind. It would break everyone's mind. Now we're going to say she's not evil and they're making her do yada. Yeah, she's evil. She was always evil. She was the evilest evil that ever eviled on the evil of planet evil. She's knowingly doing it. She's a bad person. Don't trust blondes. Don't trust blondes. I tell you what, this is why I don't get my Philly cheesesteaks from blondes. This right here. This. Not everyone called it. I was the first, Kenny Forag. The first ever to call it. In fact, no one even knew about it till my video. The first to call it. The first. There is a piece that makes no sense to me. Stop calling her Kaylee. First off, sir, that's not how you spell Kaylee. It's Kaylee. I research the characters that I make fun of. But beyond that, there's a piece that doesn't make any sense in all of this. There's a couple pieces. First, so she begins having issues and begins murdering him, right? And so the EMH comes up. I'm actually with that. That makes sense. If the computer senses something's wrong with you, he comes up and he's like, hey, medical emergency, what's going on? He then realizes she's killing the guy. And he's like, this is a medical emergency. What the hell are you doing? She deactivates him. Couple of things here. First off, and I get that this isn't a Starfleet ship, but you would think that computers would have overrides. Like if someone is being murdered and arrives to help and someone says deactivate EMH, the computer would be like, what the fucking hell? You don't even own me. No, that's not how this works. You're not the owner of the vessel. You don't just get to directly turn me off so you can murder somebody. You would think that that would happen. Given how sophisticated this EMH is, this is a sentient EMH. It thinks. It has opinions. It doesn't want to be turned off. It specifically tells you who is a good guy and who is a bad guy. This is not logical. This does not make any sense at all. It's not No, that's not how that should work. What if she was killing Captain Manspreader? All of a sudden, the EMH is deactivated? Okay, let's talk about that, Charles. I'm getting there. Charles McManay. She is an expert synthetic technology specialist. She works in computers and programs and knows how synths work and probably overrode the safeguards. She can't work a goddamn transporter console! How the fuck can she rewrite code? I will wait for your response, Charles. I will sit here and wait in perpetuity. I need a drink. I don't have this. This one I get. Yeah, my kids aren't home. Yeah, there's no way. I wouldn't do that at all if my kids were home. I'm not married, Morgan Gray. All right. It makes no sense. It makes no sense that this thing can be deactivated. And when it gets reactivated, he's just going to go tell Captain Manspreader. Why didn't he just reactivate and be like, hey, Captain Manspreader, you know that blonde that you really like? She's straight up murdering the dude you guys just saved. I mean, I don't know if that's something you want to do or you want to take care of. It seems like an issue you might have. So I thought I'd bring it to your opinion. If she reprograms him or removes it, then the transporter thing, the only way this makes sense is if she's evil. That's the only way it makes sense. She always knew how to use a transporter, but she wanted to make herself look dumb, so she looks dumb in front of him, and then she straight up murders Maddox. The only way it makes sense is if Blondie is evil. Is if she's evil. She killed a guy, she killed a Romulan, she knew how to do it to get on the ship. She pretends to be dumb as sand and yet can reprogram everything about that ship. She can use a transporter console. She uses it correctly, but pretends like she doesn't know how. And then she murders a guy. There is no way this chick is not evil. It's the only way all of it makes sense. The only way. And the safeguards on the EMH make no sense unless she pre-programmed. So she would have had to program in advance that if she deactivates or she does something sketchy, that it automatically stops. And again, all of the other ones are idiots. None of them pick up on it. Yeah, Maddox is deader than a door now. He did. Y'all are making me drink club soda out of a 2-liter. I mean, what I think is that they showed her or told her what the evil is, like her dialogue says. I don't think she may have gotten mind tripped. She could be mind warped. She's still evil. I mean, maybe she'll be redeemed, but anyway. And then how does it end? That's the ending piece. I hope they explain how she got out of it, or maybe she admits it. Maybe she's like, "Hey, I'm not a good guy now." You know, if that doesn't have a circumstance, if that doesn't have a consequence, then I'll think that'll be pretty poor writing. Also, wouldn't the captain be notified by the computer that something is wrong in sickbay? Exactly. There's no way she kills this person without consequence. If she does, that's without explaining it, that would be very bad. I hope they don't do that. Also, but what or who is this big evil then? They're really building up this massive evil entity, which worries me because I think they've built it up to the point that no matter what they say, it's going to fall short. Even if they created the Borg. Bit off topic, but did Rafi really annoy anyone else? She didn't annoy me all that much in this one, honestly. Picard will be the Borg King. You said mind warped. What, did something to her with a mind meld? Yeah. So I don't know if you remember, Miles, but in the actual promotional material, they show Kaylee being mind melded, Agnes being mind melded. And so it could be like what we saw in Voyager, where she was changed or brainwashed. She could also just be showing her how the evil works, how it ends. Why are you drinking club soda? It's like drinking TV set. I like club soda. I think it's cool. Oh God, weren't the captain in Star Trek Discovery immediately get informed when the doctor got murdered? Someone would, you would think. Of course, that's pre-TOS, that's TOS. So I don't know if Discovery would make a lot of sense, but in this era it would. The unspeakable truth is Lore was right. They're not trying to bring back Control, some sort of time travel shenanigans, I hope. I don't know. I don't think it's the Borg thing. I really don't. It could be. But I don't think so. So what were your guys' thoughts beyond that? By the way, 120 people watching, only 79 likes. What's up with that? I like TV static. I think Pill's person Who's Pills? Is that the actress? I'd hate to see Lore's reaction if he was drinking coffee or Mountain Dew. Yeah, it gets bad. It gets bad. I thought when the Doctor died in Disco, Stamets just hugged him. Yeah, I mean, in Discovery, that technology probably isn't on par. Whereas it is in... All right, my throat hurts. All right, guys, it is snowing outside. I also got a message from a very attractive woman who I hadn't talked to in a while. So that's going to be fun. I don't have anyone to call to ask for a Philly cheesesteak, though, which is sad. Hit the likes. I imagine that whatever Starfleet showed her is like the same reason Soji is called the Destroyer. I'm sure. I really think she showed her what's going to be the end, not brainwashed her. But I could be wrong. I thought it was the weakest episode so far. I agree. I think this is probably the weakest episode. I think they really did a disservice to 7 of 9. A lot of things... Kaylee doesn't make sense. And it was a bridge. It's a bridge episode. Of course, all of them have been bridges. We're at 50% of the season 1 done, and it doesn't feel like we're getting anywhere. So I do kind of feel like we are rolling our tires. Personally. Females over bros. I got to make money to impress the females, though. What makes a good Philly cheesesteak? It being delivered by an awesome person. Snowing where you are, while here in Sweden, I haven't seen snow with consistency in 15 years. It's dim global warming. Yeah, it is snowing, though. I got to see how bad it's getting. Because I may be going and picking up 2 of the most lovely people on planet Earth. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. I'll probably do something later today, too. So stay tuned. Probably later in the afternoon. Either way, I'm going to see you on the next Lore Reloaded.